Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping headfirst into the amazing world of fruits and veggies. Seriously, we're going to cover it all, from how to shop smart to storing everything perfectly so you get the absolute most out of every single bite. Ready? Let's do this. So, let me just ask you this straight up. Do you want to eat healthier, save some real money at the grocery store, and maybe most importantly, stop throwing out so much food? I mean, who doesn't, right? Well, believe it or not, mastering your produce game is the secret key that unlocks all three of those things. Okay, so let's kick things off with the big question, the absolute foundation of all this. Why? Why is everyone, from your doctor to your mom, always telling us to eat more fruits and vegetables? The answer, it turns out, is both super simple and incredibly powerful. And here it is. This is the golden rule, coming straight from Canada's food guide. The number one thing to remember is this. At every single meal, try to fill half your plate with fruits and vegetables. That's it. It is probably the most impactful, simple change you can make for healthier eating. And this is why that rule is such a game changer. I mean, look at this. Fruits and veggies are just packed with fiber, all those essential vitamins like A, C, and B vitamins, plus minerals. They're naturally low in calories and fat, which is awesome. But the real kicker? A diet loaded with this stuff is directly tied to a lower risk of heart disease, it helps with managing weight and diabetes, and it might even lower your risk for some types of cancer. It's a true powerhouse. Okay, feeling motivated? Me too. So now let's get down to business. Let's get practical. The journey always starts at the grocery store, right? So let's build ourselves a killer grocery game plan. Buying local is one of the best ways to get super fresh, in-season produce, and it is way easier than you probably think. Yeah, you can check the labels at your regular grocery store, for sure, but why not explore a bit? Check out a public or farmer's market, buy right from a farm stand on the side of the road, or, and this is really cool, you can look into a CSA, that's Community-Supported Agriculture, where you literally get a basket of fresh goodies delivered every week. All right, let's talk about something you may have heard of, but it is so important for smart shopping. It's the Dirty Dozen versus the Clean 15. Now, this is a list that gets put out every year, and what it does is it ranks produce based on how much pesticide residue is typically found on it. So let's take a peek. On the left, you've got the Dirty Dozen. Things like spinach, strawberries, kale. These guys tend to have the most pesticide residue. But then on the right, you've got the Clean 15, hello, pineapples and avocados, which have the least. So here's a really practical tip. If you're working with a budget, a great strategy is to try and buy organic when you're shopping from that Dirty Dozen list. But, and I really want you to hear this, this is the most important thing to remember about this whole topic. Please do not let the fear of pesticides stop you from eating fruits and vegetables. The science on this is crystal clear. The incredible health benefits you get from eating produce, even the regular non-organic kind, totally outweigh any potential risks. The bottom line, eating any fruit or vegetable is always way, way better than not eating one at all. Okay, so you did it. You shop smart, your cart is overflowing with beautiful, fresh produce. But now comes the next challenge, right? How do we make sure all this good stuff actually gets eaten and doesn't just die a slow death in the back of the fridge? This brings us to a huge topic, food waste. I want you to brace yourself for this number because, honestly, it's a real shocker. In Canada, almost half, a staggering 47% of all food waste happens exactly where we have the most control over it, in our own kitchens. And if you're wondering what we're actually tossing out, well, here it is. Vegetables account for a whopping 30% of that waste, and fruits make up another 15%. You add that up, and that is almost half of all the food we're wasting at home, just fruits and veggies. We can totally do better than this. So how do we actually fight back? It really boils down to a super simple 3-step plan. First, plan. Plan your meals out before you go to the store and only buy what you need. Second, manage. Use that first in, first out rule for your fridge. New groceries go in the back, older stuff moves to the front. And third, conserve. Learn how to store things right and get creative with produce that's looking a little sad. It's perfect for soups, sauces, or smoothies. That third step, conserve, is so crucial that it totally deserves its own deep dive. So let's unlock the secrets of smart storage and figure out how to make our produce last as long as humanly possible. Now, to really get a handle on storage, you need to know this one key concept. It sounds a little sciencey, but it's simple. It's called climacteric fruits. All this means is that these are fruits that keep on ripening even after they've been picked. And they do it by releasing this natural gas called ethylene. Okay, and here's how we put that little piece of science to work for us. On the left, you have your climacteric fruits. We're talking apples, avocados, bananas, tomatoes. These are the ones you want to let ripen on your counter. On the right, you have the non-climacteric ones, like berries, grapes, citrus. They are not going to get any riper, so you want to buy those when they're ready to eat. And here's the pro tip of the day. Those ethylene-producing fruits, like apples, will make everything else around them ripen faster. So if you want your other produce to last longer, keep them separate. And here are a few more quick-fire tips that are absolute game changers. First, potatoes should never go in the fridge. It turns their starches to sugar, and it's just not good. Keep them in a cool, dark spot. And keep them away from your onions. They're like bad roommates who make each other spoil faster. The crisper drawer in your fridge. That's the perfect home for your root vegetables. And remember those counter-ripening fruits? Once they're perfectly ripe, you can pop them in the fridge, except for bananas, to basically hit the pause button on the ripening process. All right, we've bought it, we've stored it, and now it's time for the best part, cooking and eating it. So let's talk about how to prep and cook everything like a total pro so we can get the most flavor and the most nutrients out of every single bite. Before you even turn on the stove, remember these 4 simple rules. They make such a huge difference. First, wash your produce. Right before you're about to use it, not days before. It helps prevent mold. Second, if you have to peel something, peel it as thinly as possible. So many of the good nutrients are hiding right near the skin. Third, to avoid browning on things like cut apples or avocados, just a little squeeze of lemon juice does the trick. And finally, and this is a big one, don't soak your cut vegetables in water. You're literally just letting all those amazing nutrients leach out into the water and go down the drain. Now, when it comes to the actual cooking part, think of it this way. Your 2 biggest enemies for nutrients are too much heat and too much water. So the secret is super simple. Limit your cooking time and use as little water as you possibly can. This is why things like steaming, stir-frying, or roasting are often way better than just boiling your veggies. Okay, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. You know that feeling when you're standing in front of that giant wall of apples at the store and have no idea which one to get? Well, this little chart is about to become your new best friend. If you want a crispy apple for just snacking, a Macintosh or Gala is perfect. But if you're making a pie and you want the slices to hold their shape, you gotta go with something like a Granny Smith. Trust me, using the right apple for the job is a total game changer. And hey, the exact same logic applies to potatoes. You would not want to use a waxy red potato for mashing. I promise you, it'll turn into a gummy, gluey mess. For that, you want a fluffy, starchy potato, like a Yukon Gold or a russet. But for something like a potato salad, where you need the chunks to hold their shape, those red potatoes are absolutely perfect. See? Knowing your potato varieties is a real pro move. Wow. Okay, we have covered so much ground today. We started with the big why all the way down to the nitty-gritty of which potato to use for fries. You are now officially equipped to shop smarter, waste way less, and cook some seriously delicious and nutritious food. So, I'm going to leave you with this one question to get you started. Now that you're a produce pro, what's the first amazing meal you're going to make?